So hello, welcome back to Go Again Gaming, and welcome to the dirty, dark, disgusting pits here in the Azalea cult. And welcome everybody yet again to the second episode. And what a great place to be, because we're joined, as always, by Jim from FabTCGCards. How's it doing? How are you going? All right?
Good. Praise be to our superior leader, supreme leader. Sorry.
Praise be. And
all hail the Dark Lady.
All hail the Dark Lady. Love your old job. So yeah, and we're also joined, as you can see on the screen as well, by Kel, who has spoiled a lot of Azalea's things in the past. So how's it going? You all right?
All the things, I think, actually. All the things.
Pretty much, yeah.
A lot of stuff, actually. How did you describe the pits? It was like dirty and dark, but surprisingly not smelly. It smells very, very nice down here.
It does, yeah. all the refuse from metrics just in the water.
Very grunge. It's like grungy, you know. It's
not
necessarily dirty.
I imagine it has like this like vague smell of like oil and stuff because of all of the crap that's floating down from metrics.
All the mechanical stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's how they describe it as well, isn't it? It's like the sort of mechanical lines and mines and stuff underneath metrics. I'm sure we'll explore that in the future on like lore-ish episodes. But yeah, before we get into the main topic of today, which is basically the bows that are available for Ranger, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit a little bell notification, you'll be notified of any future videos, and join the cult, which is in the link in the description box below. That's where you can sort of chat all things Azalea with no judgment. You know, you can submit entries into the competitions, we've had a great bit of engagement recently, so there's a lot of love for this character. So yeah, that's what this series is all about. And of course, you can come to expect on this episode and future episodes deep dives into all the intricacies surrounding the Ranger class, mainly for Azalea. We might touch on Lexi here and there, just because obviously the parallels and the comparisons between the two. Yeah, that's what you can come to expect today. And this is all about the bows that are available. And what better way to introduce that than to speak to the man himself, who spoiled pretty much all of them, Kel. So what's your experience been with Ranger? It's been quite a wild ride. You've been in there since pretty much the beginning, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, so I mean, like I started Flesh and Blood like right before Arcane Rising, and my first preview card was for Arcane Rising, and it was Knock the Death Whistle, one of Azalea's specializations.
Yeah.
And so it's really interesting because I actually got to see Azalea and the art and everything for it before anyone else, because in order to spoil Knock the Death Whistle, they were like, hey, you need some context for this.
Yeah.
And so they're like, here's Azalea, here's Death Dealer, and here's a Searing Shot. So they showed me those three in addition to my own spoiler card. And I immediately thought the character was awesome. Like immediately I was like, oh, this is really, really cool. This is like right up my alley.
Yeah.
They gave me a really like complicated, like for my first one and still really new to the game, it was like fairly complicated to wrap my head around.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was still like trying to understand like how to be good with like Dorinthia or whatever. And so they're like, here's Azalea. And I'm like, what does this bow thing do?
Yeah.
But no.
People too, I'd say.
Yeah.
Even today.
And like Knock the Death Whistle, I think like legit, not just because it's my preview card, but I mean, maybe a little bit. I think it's like one of the best specializations. It's so sweet. It does everything you want for Azalea. It goes and fetches an arrow. It lets you dominate that arrow using her ability. It's really good. And then, you know, long story short, since then they've given me like many other cards, including let's see, let me think of the ones that are Azalea specific. So, or not Azalea specific, but just Ranger that Azalea could use. So there's Redliner. Yeah. There's Seek and Destroy. And then there's Dread Boar. I've also done Shiver, but that's an elemental ranger. And so yeah, basically any set that Ranger is in the set, they give me a Ranger spoiler.
Rightly so. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool.
So
yeah. And I mean, you know, as you were saying there, I mean, Knock a Death Whistle. Obviously, we can go into the card specifics in future episodes and that with regards to like the tutors and filtering for the cards and stuff. But the fact that a specialization can then go and fetch another Azalea specialization, which you can then dominate off the top, is perhaps one of the most powerful lines you can do. So yeah, I absolutely love that. It is a great card, 100%.
I love how toolboxy it is because you can go get whatever you need, right? So if you need Red and Ledger, you can go get that. If you need like Remorseless, you can go get that. It's really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why it's a staple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It synergizes so well with her ability as well because you can dominate anything you want. So, yeah. Again, the toolbox element, I think, is what draws a lot of people to Azalea because there's so many things that she can do. It's just the consistency. And I think the consistency issue will also factor into what bows are and how they work with the hero. So, basically, Ranger, as we discussed on the last episode, the way they attack, they have to load an arrow into their arsenal and then fire that off. And how do you do that? You do that by the use of a bow. So this is one of the questions that I'll flash up on the screen here post-production. But what do bows do? So a lot of bows will just basically put an arrow card from your hand into the arsenal so that the Ranger can attack with arrow cards because you can't do it from hand, can you? So
no, yeah.
So normally, with regards to the overall sort of game state, you can only normally put things into your arsenal at the end of your turn, whereas bows will allow you to put arrow cards into your arsenal during your turn, during your action phase, as such. So that's Ranger's way of putting the arrow into the bow and then firing it off, or whatever theme you want to sort of associate that with. Which I think is another reason why a lot of us like Rangers, because of that mechanic, right? The whole bow thing is cool.
It defines the class for sure.
Yeah. So, a tandem of theme and flavour and actual mechanical, tactile feel of using a bow, putting something in and firing it off is another reason why we like it. So that is basically what bows do, is it allows you to put a card into your arsenal and then fire it off. And there's a few bow options that we have at the moment for just the generic Ranger, which we can go into. As you said, Cal, you spoiled quite a few of them. But the first one, which is the signature one, and obviously you can see this in front of you now, is Death Dealer. So this is Azalea's signature weapon. Who likes Death Dealer?
I think everyone likes Death Dealer. It's really
probably
good.
still the most used.
Yeah. Because obviously, if you can see it in front of you, what it does, you pay a resource, you put an arrow card from your hand into your arsenal, and then you draw a card. So it basically pays for itself. You do need the resource to be able to put it into your arsenal, but then you draw a card off at the top, which obviously allows you to then do something else with it, potentially. The reason I don't like Death Dealer is because with Azalea, you do have to set up the top of your deck. So why would you want to draw the card that you've set up on the top of your deck? That's my sort of argument against Death Dealer, and why I don't like it is because, albeit you can draw a card, ideally the way I play is I want to set up potentially on my opponent's turn with like a take cover where you reload something into your arsenal that you can then flip up to opt one and all that sort of thing. So why do people like? I know you like Death Dealer, Jim, don't you?
Yeah, I also play it just with a lot of the tutors so that I can use those to set up the next card. So I can, run Death Dealer, draw the card, etc., and then actually run, play Knock or play Memorial Ground, something that will let me change out that top card, and then I get the best of both worlds.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fair enough. Yeah. But yeah, Death Dealer it's a nice little card because it cycles through your deck a little bit. If you want to, I guess, if you're trying to find something, that you haven't got, you could potentially try and find it with that as well. So it allows you to go one card deeper, which is always good when you're trying to find stuff.
Yeah, I think important to note for Death Dealer and also the next bow that you can only activate it if your arsenal is empty. So you can't make use of stuff like New Horizons with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So, I don't play much Lexi. So with New Horizon, and people that don't know this interaction with New Horizon, if your arsenal is considered empty, if you have nothing in there, is that okay?
And New Horizon only gives you the extra slot if you have a card in arsenal already.
Right, I see. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So that's an important interaction to add as well. If you're new to Ranger, or if you're listening to this, so you haven't had much experience, that's another interaction to be wary of. And something I was
gonna say, it's just one of the things that makes it difficult for Azalea to run New Horizon, which I think is a really cool idea. Yeah,
exactly. Right. And there's a lot of sort of discussion around, just while we're on the topic of Arsenal zones, there's a lot of discussion on the Ranger playstyle with Azalea. I feel like it's very much the best sort of Azalea build is just a massively go tall, one shot a turn. Whereas with Lexi, it might be more go wide viable because it's hard because a lot of the arrows don't have go again. So be able to fire multiple arrows from one arsenal zone is very hard. So whenever someone says, "Oh, Azalea go wide," could that be a thing? I always think probably not the best way to go. I don't know about you guys.
Like you said.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously we can. Yeah, there's things we can discuss in the future like rapid fire. That gives all of your arrows go again for the turn, and poison the tips, which if it hits, they have to discard a card every time. There's great stuff there, but I think the only issue is the one arsenal zone. So, yeah, but yeah. So moving on to the next bow, we've got this was a supplementary set, and this was Redliner. Did you spoil this one as well, Kel? Or
I did, yeah. I spoiled
Redliner, yeah. So this is quite interesting because this is a bow that allows you just to put something into your arsenal for free. So there could be times where you're stuck with only one card in hand after you've blocked a load of damage, and that card just happens to be an arrow, like a searing shot, which costs nothing. So the rates that you can get from Redliner can sometimes be quite good if you're running the 0 cost arrows, because you can just put it into your arsenal and fire it off if there's nothing else to do. But I haven't really experimented with it too much at the moment, albeit I don't know if there's much love for it, really. I think did you make a deck for Redliner? You might have done.
Several decks, actually. I think Redliner, Azalea, and Blitz was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like most people prefer Death Dealer because they do basically the same thing. The only difference is, like you said, that Redliner doesn't cost anything to activate, which means you can be way greedier with your plays and you can block a lot more too.
Yeah.
So instead of needing like 3 cards, right? You just need. Well, it depends. It depends on the arrow, right? If it's a 0 cost arrow, you literally just need the arrow, right? So you just like load the arrow and then immediately fire it off.
Yeah.
If it's a 1 cost arrow, you still will need a tunic, activation or another card.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't be like super greedy, but it does make 2 card hands playable.
A lot more workable. So. Yeah. So you evade that range attacks.
I think too, just looking at Death Dealer kind of can do the same thing right off the bat, because if you pitch the 1 for it and draw a card, you immediately at least have the 1 resource back. So it was fun, I think, in a couple Blitz decks, but then just the versatility of the Death Dealer, being able to draw that card to maybe change up the play, the line that you have in your hand or whatever, was, just better.
Cool. Yeah. The real advantage is like the 0 cost arrows, really. It makes it so you can block more, which was like better in Blitz, I would say. But honestly, if you're going to go that route, most people would agree that Death Dealer is probably just the way to go.
Yeah, definitely. So maybe we'll see some cool stuff in the future with Redliner, and hopefully we see more in supplementary sets that are similar to this as well. I mean, we've covered this on Living Legends podcast recently with regards to like rare weapons and majestic weapons that just give you more options. I think this sort of flavour is nice, so hopefully we see more of that in the future.
Yeah.
Cool, and then moving on to the most recent bow, which obviously Azalea can use and all rangers can use, of course. And this is another card that you spoiled as well, Kel. And this is awesome. And the spoiler video you did for this was quality as well, I might add. So this is Boar. So this is my favourite bow. 100%, because this is one of the only weapons in the game that allows you to add a static effect to the game state right from the start. And that, I think, is a design space that should be explored more, is a something that affects the game before even sideboards happen. Something that, it just messes with your opponent before the game's even started. I think that is a massive design space that Ranger needs to utilise. It's like the whole Batman thing. Batman has a plan before the battle even starts. There should be a design space that interacts with people's psychology and, sideboard before it even begins. And that's what I think Boar is a great example of that. So yeah, I absolutely love this card. I think it's great, and it's great against all the people that just want to block for days and get all of the value out of one defense reaction. It's like, yeah, see you later. You're gonna have to, sort of mess around with your hand composition to get round this now. So yeah, I don't know what you guys feel about it, but I absolutely love this one.
I agree with what you said. Like, I just like the threat of it. Like,
Yeah.
even if you're not going to run it, just it. Most of the players that play a lot of D-Reacts know that it exists, and they gotta wonder, are you going to or you're not? So
yeah,
just the threat of it can be helpful.
Yeah.
I think Dreadboar is really, really good. Obviously, like for the reasons you guys said, but I also love that you just always get the +1.
That's true.
So that makes it so something like Bolt and Shot is really good in Azalea because you immediately get that +1 and the go again and the reload trigger, so you can actually go a little bit wide with Azalea. And so yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, obviously the only downside of it compared to Dreadboar is that compared to Death Dealers, you don't get to draw a card, but you get a lot for not being able to draw that card.
Yeah. And the 1 extra damage as well, does help with the fact if you are trying to go tall and you do want to load something in with this, you can just get that extra bit of damage that just might be the break point that gets you the on-hit effects that you're looking for, etc. So, there's that sort of stuff as well. But yeah, I mean, I think the main takeaway for Dreadboar and, that side of things is the fact that it just inherently just changes the game state from the off, I think is very awesome. The battle begins before you actually, fight the opponent, which is nice. So
not many cards, if any other, that kind of do that.
Their Reaping Blade is the only other one I can think of because it just has that static, no gain life ability.
Reaping Blade.
Is there another one?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's another one.
Yeah, Reaping Blade's a good pull because we don't see that one that often.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And again, it was a crucible weapon as well. Another sort of rare, sort of weird game effect that, might be relevant in the future. Who knows? But it's just nice to have that theme that, it's like a soul reaping blade. You can't gain life when it's there sort of thing. Similar to Dreadboar, it's just like my attacks will hit you. Or at least that's...
We have gotten a bow so far in every supplemental set, right? So maybe Dynasty's going to have a new one for us?
Hopefully, yeah. That'd be good.
Maybe. That'd be cool.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, even if it's just like a rare, weird option, just something different.
Yeah, sure.
And we're going to go into weird options in a moment with the fact the people have made some awesome bows and have done some mock-ups for them as well. So you'll see those on the screen in a bit. So yeah, going off the bows that we just explained, what bow do we use and when is a question that I thought we would just fire up here. So which bow do we use and when? I think, I'm not sure about whether you would use Redliner in any sort of case scenario, unless anyone has an argument for it. Maybe we've already touched on it, the fact that you used to use it in Blitz, just because it's a bit of a racier thing.
Yeah, I used it in Blitz during the... I think it was like the first developer... what was it called? Jim, do you remember what it was called? It was like the developer tournament thing where LSS just streamed for 8 hours and they just had a bunch of developers come on and play games. This was right around Crucible.
Yeah, Developer Melee or something like that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, one of the decks that James White played was Redline Azalea with Redliner.
Oh, really?
So yeah, if Azalea fans are keen to go check that out, I think it might still be up on their YouTube channel, so if you can go and try to find it.
FabTCG channel, yeah.
Okay, yeah. If I find it, I will float it around our heads now for people to go and check out if they want to. Cool. Obviously Death Dealer I think is the main one of choice that you'd use for Azalea most of the time, depending on the matchup. But I think this question really goes into the matchup, to be honest. But I think Death Dealer is the main one, and I do like using Death Dealer most of the time, unless I'm facing something like Guardian, which I know is going to have a lot of D-reacts and stuff where you use Dreadboar. Don't know about you, whether that's your main sort of feelings there, chaps.
Yep, same. Yeah. And Dorinthia too, now that she's kind of gaining popularity again.
What you'd use Dreadboar in Dorinthia? What for, like Steel Blades, shunts and that?
Or at least, I'd think about it for sure. Yeah, I always have Dreadboar in my sideboard.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%.
Yeah, I really like Dreadboar. It does everything you want to do, right? It helps you go tall. It basically makes it so they can't defend with certain cards. Because you just really want to hit, right? That's what you want to do. You want to hit and you want to get those really sweet on-hit effects.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it depends on matchup and it depends on the meta too. If the meta is very defense reaction heavy, then it's way better.
Yeah.
So yeah, it depends.
Nice. And finally, what is everyone's favourite? This could be for theme purposes or efficiency purposes. You've got this one hard, Cal, because you've pretty much spoiled all of them. Which one's your favourite?
Out of these three, probably Dreadboar. Yeah.
Dreadboar. Yeah, nice. Yeah. I would.
It looks awesome too. It looks like if you like touched it wrong, you would get a cut and get like tetanus or something.
Oh yeah, it's like a pure rusty blades all over it.
Yeah.
It literally looks like it's been scavenged from like the dregs of the pits to be made up.
Yeah.
So yeah. What about you, Jim? What's your favourite?
Actually, would have to say the same thing. Dreadboard, just because of the theme of it, man. It's so metal, and it's just cool.
I wish Dreadboar had like 1 or 2 attack, because it really looks like you could punch someone with that thing.
It does.
While holding it, it looks like you could just jab it into someone.
Like a melee type attack or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'd go with the same. My favourite's Dreadboar. So 3 ticks for all of us, as you would have seen there. I'll do some weird editing. Everyone's choice is Dreadboar, which is fantastic. So cool, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much sums up the bows that we've had so far, when we could potentially use them, and when you should use them, what have you. So if you're new here, or you're looking into Ranger, those are the options. You would have seen them on screen as well. But just run what you think's the coolest, and there's all manner of different things you can do with all those bows. So. Next, we've got some community Azalea wins, or community sort of outcries for Azalea, and just awesome moments all round. And first of all comes from Elaine, or E. Hammondtree. We all know who she is. Cosplayed Icelander and spawned one of the Icelander cards. Have everyone met Elaine in the flesh?
Yep. I had dinner. Jim and I had dinner with her and a bunch of other people, including like Flake.
Nice.
In Vegas. Yeah.
Cool. Well, was Tommy there as well? Fresh and Buds.
Yeah.
Nice. What a party that was. Fantastic. But yeah, she said, yesterday at my Road to Nationals, an Azalea fatigued Alexi, and everyone cheered. I thought you should know. GoAgainGaming as FabTCGCards, Red Zone Rogue.
It's pretty hilarious. Like, you don't really hear
underdog that she is, that everybody loves her.
It's amazing.
It's hard to imagine Azalea fatiguing anyone. To
be
honest.
That's my first thought too. Like, how'd that happen?
It's ridiculous, isn't it? I've got a funny running joke in my Discord. There's the Swiss national champion Pascal, Supper Worm on Twitter, I think it's called. He played in a pit fight where he played basically this sort of Azalea, Fatigue Gazalia, he called it, because of the fact that he was Guardian Azalea, just loads of
I saw that.
D-reacts all over the place, and just taking the piss basically.
A lot of pitch stacking of the arrows too. So like at the end of the game, there just had a ton of arrows. I thought it was actually pretty slick one-off strategy.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know how it happens either, Kel. To be honest, how Azalea fatigues, but what are the defensive capabilities of Ranger? We'll find out on a future episode. We'll see if that's going to be a short one. That's going to be a short episode. Oh, right. But yeah, great. So thanks, Elaine, for thinking of us here as obviously Ranger simps. Next comes from a tale from Hank Jr. I believe you met Goblin Reserve as well recently.
Oh yeah.
And he's mentioning Jim here, saying at FabTCGCards, I won a match with Azalea on your mat. So as you can see there,
it would have been. I gotta get him a Azalea mat, because it's the key art mat that he was playing on or whatever. So
yeah,
but it could have been that much sweeter if it was Azalea's mat. Although his opponent appears to be playing the Red in the Ledger mat.
Oh, I'd love to have one of them.
I recently got one of them. It was gifted to me by Ian Kenderdine at the Pro Tour, because I was like, oh, that mat's awesome, and he's like, oh, here you go, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you just have it. I'm like, dude, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, what a guy.
That's one of the mats that I really wanted for a long time.
Yeah, I remember Ian telling me a tale that if you look at the mat, there's like a tattoo across the guy's neck saying "loser" or something.
I'll have to look at that.
Yeah. It's a lot of details on that, but yeah, it's a lovely mat, but not as good as Jim's. And then he said, I then proudly shouted in the store, Azalea won a match. And then obviously So again, it's
I'd
just
like to think the whole store cheered as well. So
exactly,
we
yeah.
didn't leave that part, the response in, but I'd like to think so.
Exactly. It's just left the sort of the feelers out there as to imagine what could have happened rather than actually telling us. But yeah, hashtag Azalea Cult, praise be our glorious leader, was used in that post. Thank you very much. Praise be. And you can see the picture on there as well. And also, he messaged me afterwards saying about his general experience. And he said, we were at an LGS waiting for the draft to start. Wifey had played against someone and lost to them a few times, the last time with the store's Azalea deck. So his wife had played Azalea and lost multiple times, is basically the pretense to this. And as a husband, I felt it was only right to defend my wife and Azalea's honour by beating him with a hero everyone considers to be the worst. He was on Reinar. I don't even know the Azalea deck list, but it seemed pretty bad and not well tuned at all. I went my turn 1 going second using equipment and putting cards in the arsenal to go 4 wide, if I remember correctly. 4 wide in Azalea. I'd love to know how he managed to do that. Bolton shots, maybe. Sikkim shots. They're the most wide ones.
Yeah.
But that's impressive, going 4 wide with Azalea.
Drawing cards in some way, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I just think that's a. He goes on as to the general match and what have you. But I thought that was a fantastic way to sort of, just be there for wifey and just batter the guy, as a pure tale of revenge.
I think they streamed. She played Azalea in one of their streams before this or whatever, and one of the things was she was forgetting to draw a card off Death Dealer, which can definitely affect your turn. So
yeah, definitely.
They were learning the hero, but it's really awesome to see that he's able to win a match with her.
Yeah, exactly. I think the community in general is just like, they know that Azalea is an underdog, so when they have that tale to tell, people are going to shout about it because it is an achievement, and it is rewarding. It's like playing Dark Souls, basically, when you play Azalea or Elden Ring or whatever. It's very, very high learning curve, but when you pull it off, and it is very rewarding, I think.
Yep.
So yeah. Then we had a recent tweet, what I thought I'd put in here. This is something that Jeff0_Fab mentioned me in. He said, GoAgainGaming as, this sounds like it's made for you. So Outcast's Haven, a YouTube channel, is starting a bounty pool for the first person to give Azalea Living Legend points. And then obviously they tagged a load of creators in there. I wasn't tagged, but I saw it because obviously Jeff mentioned me in it. Asking for contributions to this bounty pool, and we've put in some stuff for this bounty pool as well, and I think it's definitely worth playing Azalea for this because a lot of people have chipped into it. I think there was a cold foil caution in there from someone.
Oh wow!
So it gives people the incentive to play Azalea, and we're spreading the good word here on this cult as well about the fact that we're putting into this, and it's. People need to play more Azalea and just try and get something with her, very much like how the Levia group banded together to figure something out as to how we could do this. So yeah, great incentive by Outcast Dane and the Outcast Haven crew for doing that. Hopefully expect more people to play Azalea. And off of the back of this, I will be playing Azalea at the Calling in Lille. So I'll be documenting my experiences, maybe even
following you, man.
Live Azalea cult. On the days if I can get signal, but we'll see.
Have you guys seen the Calling Utrecht breakdown yet?
I haven't actually.
Was there 1 or 2 Azalea?
2 Azaleas. Yeah.
Did it say what the win percentage was? 50%?
I have no idea. No idea.
Literally a flip of a coin every time.
Meta breakdown. I don't think it had any stats on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but 2 people repped Our Lady Azalea there, which is
2
cool.
Absolute legends. Fair play. Yeah. Wherever you might be watching now in the future, or if you even hear this, well done. Cool. So yeah, we had a few little tales and stuff from Twitter, was doing the rounds, and then we had a load of questions in the Azalea Cult mailbox, which you can find in the Discord. So the first one is directed at all of us. So question for you, Jim and Kel from Red Zone Rogue: do you think the bow used is dependent on the matchup, and if so, would you consider sideboarding 1 or more bow options? And I think we've answered this already, really.
100%.
So yeah, Dave at DGTCG, we have answered that already, but yeah, definitely it does depend on the matchup. Most of the time, Death Dealer, Redliner, probably not. Boar against also your D-Reacts, or if your meta does like to run a lot of the high value cards in the D-Reacts.
There's not a lot of equipment you run otherwise on a sideboard, so there's plenty of room to run the bows in the sideboard.
Yeah, definitely so. It's not like Azalea has an offhand weapon or anything yet that you could side in instead. Although the community does want it, and you will see that in a moment. So yeah, that's been answered already. So thanks for the submission, Dave. Then we got Christopher, who has come in, and this is basically the mailboxes for stories, comments, questions, and experiences. So not necessarily all questions here. And Christopher saying, it was weeks ago. Oh no, I played Azalea in a commoner armory and hit my opponent for 17 damage with Dominate. It felt good in commoner, that is. And it was weeks ago, so I don't remember, but I responded to him saying, how did you do that? And he said, it was weeks ago, so I don't remember, but now it's almost a meme between us every time I flip Azalea on my mat. But yeah, I'm thinking headshot and some buffs. So yeah, again, just another tale of experience. You know, now every time he plays against his friend, whoever that is, or her friend, you know, it's just a memory that's engraved in their heads. Like, oh no, not Azalea. And that's what.
Well, you don't forget 17 damage on turn 1 from Azalea.
In commoner as well.
That brands you.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
And I had a similar thing as well. I played in my GoAgainGaming Open tournaments. I played the last one, the 4th one, which was a commoner event, and I played Azalea in that. And I had a similar first turn against the guy who was playing Briar, who ended up winning the tournament. I did about 15 damage in the first turn with something similar to this. So it can be very scary, and you do sort of remember that. If you've had the experience playing against Azalea, you do remember those times when it was just like, wow, that is a lot of damage output, or they took my whole turn away from me. So it does scar a lot of people. And Zombie Taco is saying, I played against a KO recently in a weekly, and they had set up for a deadly turn with Blood Rush Bellow and at least one barraging beatdown, swung Mandible Claws before going into a high roll attack for roughly 15 damage. Luckily, since the Mandible Claws hit, I could feign death and prevent the 15 damage. So yeah, this is one awesome card that his opponent also learned existed because it happened to him. He got a feign death played on him. What does everyone think of that card? Because that is pretty good.
I think Feign Death is a little bit slept on. I hate that card. Oh, I love it, but I also hate it because back in the day, right? This is like Arcane Rising. I don't know if you guys know Travis from Fab Foundry or on it. And I was playing my Viserai OTK deck, and he was playing Azalea, right?
Oh god.
And I had like my massive rune chances going for my OTK. Back then, I used Slogism plus Arknight Ascendancy, the one that has like Dominate on it. It's like tax for 5, Dominate, and then you get Rune Chance for every point of damage it deals.
Love that one.
So I was coming in for like a bunch of Rune Chance and then like a Slogism plus that. So it was 11 Dominate. And what he did is he prevented some of the Rune Chant damage, right? Took one, at least one. And he's like, okay, so since I took one, I will feign death the 11 Dominate. And I was like, oh my god, are you kidding?
Yeah.
So feign death is pretty good.
Yeah, it's another solid sideboard for me because it is situational. Like you got to have be against a hero that's going to hit a little wide because otherwise, you can't use it.
Exactly.
It's like tricky because you have to. It's good against go wide, but it has to be high go wide, right? Because it needs to be better than a sink below is what I'm trying to get at, right?
Situational.
Yeah, because like you have to be getting hit for more than 4 for it to be better than a sink below. Because sink below would just be blocking for 4, and you also get the filter effect.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's a little tricky, but in certain situations, it's really good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how effective it could be, but, in this meta, when obviously you've got the Rupture triggers and, the 5 Phoenix Form stuff coming through at you on the end of the chain, I think it could be fairly good for just to blow that out of the water on the last attack, potentially. So that could be relevant. I'm going to use a few of them because I know I'm going to come up against a shitload of ninjas in the calling. Yeah, so yeah, I'm definitely going to use it. And then obviously he goes on to say, if you could edit one existing card for Azalea to push her power / survivability, what would you change and why? It's quite a wide question as to what we could change. But I think obviously we'll come to see a lot of the community outcry and the designs for cards will answer this. But it's just a consistency issue. Whatever consistency looks like for us. I think a lot of people are asking for a way to attack and still be able to follow up without having to use without having to load an arrow and shoot. Basically, I think that's one of the main things.
I honestly think that you could make a lot of all of the 5 attack red arrows into 6 attacks, and it would be totally fine.
Yeah,
because it also give you a better matchup versus Illusionist.
Oh god!
And you're basically like, a lot of people are like, oh, that'd be 1 for 6, but no, not really, because you still have to pay for your bow, right? Yeah. So it'd still be like a 2 for 6, which is pretty standard rate among all the other classes. So I think like making like all the 5 attacks into 6 attacks would have been good. Yeah.
Kind of like what we mentioned earlier about the bow being able to melee.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Yeah, a few suggestions there for you, Zombie Taco. But obviously, you'll see there's designs for the community in a moment as to what a lot of people think could be the issue. And finally, the last question before we go into the competition is from Jeff Zero, which I believe is the same Jeff Zero as I mentioned earlier, who shouted me out on the bounty, I believe. They're saying, I talked major shit on my friend when he flipped over Azalea in our match. Then he hit me with multiple sleep darts and read in the ledgers. I've never been the same since. He won too. I don't underestimate her anymore. Fantastic. Again,
I feel like that's so on character for Azalea too. She just beats the respect into you. You're like,
yeah,
she's
exactly.
Going to demonstrate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like we spoke about this on the first episode very briefly. The fact that Azalea is very much a coin flip. You can either win by just utterly just looping red in the ledgers and just having the tempo constantly, or you can just fucking bail and just do nothing on your entire turn.
Arrows for 2 hands or whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just how it goes. But that's why we play her as well, because of the fact it's it can be maybe as an Azalea fan. Maybe we like getting through that struggle for whatever reason. Maybe that's more of a psychological delve. Maybe we'll go into that in the future episodes as well. The psychology behind why we like it. And there was a nice little article as well that came out on Facebook. It was written by someone about the psychology of Ranger and why we like her and stuff. So maybe don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, that's a good article. I'll link it if I can.
I've read that one, so I'd like to read it.
Okay, yeah. Thank God for throwing me a bone there, Jim. I thought nobody'd seen it, but you have seen it.
I saw it pop up, but I didn't read it.
That's fair enough. Yeah, but it's definitely out there. It's like goes into the psychology of it, and the kind of characters that play Azalea. Maybe the ones that listen to like rock and metal music. Maybe the outcasts in their life early on, and why people like to play rogues and assassins, because they're always in the shadows, waiting for the right time to strike, rather than being out there in the world, sort of thing.
But I just had a mental image of Azalea like on a psych couch, and I just don't think that would go well.
Yeah, brilliant. But yeah, that's all the sort of community questions and experiences. And now we go into design a bow competition. So this was just a weird random idea that actually took off, and this is basically the community submitting designs for how they'd like to see a bow. Whether that these designs might not be the best design things in the world, but people just showing their passion as to what they would potentially like to see and what might fix Ranger's issues in some shape or form. So we're going to go through these, and then what we're going to do is we're actually going to pick 3 winners now. So the best 3, rather than just one, we're going to pick 3. So maybe we could do one each, rather than because originally it was going to be Red Zone Rogue choosing the best one. Maybe we can all choose one. Obviously, we can't choose our own, because I know me and Jim put ones in there as well. But yeah, maybe we can choose 3. So I'll flash these up on the screen for you as well, so you can see them. They are just general mock-ups of various images from Google. So the first one is Blade Bow from DGTCG. Again, one of the guys submitted the question about the sideboards and stuff for bows. And this is called Blade Bow. It does have an attack value on it for 3. Which is quite interesting. So once per turn action, you can pay nothing to reload, go again. So the thing about that is you can reload any card. I think this could be something that could be worth doing in the future, is just having the reload mechanic on, so you could put anything in your arsenal. It doesn't just have to be a bow, it could be whatever. That could work with traps and all sorts, just being able to reload things whenever you want. And then you could just attack with the bow. You could pay 2 and attack, only use this ability if you haven't attacked with an arrow this turn. So it does have a little bit of a downside where
limited,
yeah. So you can only attack if there's nothing else to do, basically. That's Blade Bow, and again, we spoke about it in passing, but people wanting to attack with a bow is definitely going to be a running theme on this competition.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you see this kind of design a lot. Though I honestly think this one in particular is very clean. This is a very clean design.
Yeah.
Doesn't get too muddy. It's basically strictly better than Redliner. So I don't know if Analysis would ever print something like this, because it's literally just better than Redliner in every way possible. But
yes,
yeah.
But you said we could do anything, and she still would be weak.
I actually think, yeah, like even if Azalea had this, I don't think she would be like top tier, which is so sad.
Exactly, like 3 of a kind could just say draw 3 cards, go again. It would still be in the same fucking.
Add a side blade to go with Redliner that adds on the attack used only if you haven't done an arrow.
Yeah,
like if this attacked for 6, I still think it wouldn't it wouldn't bring her up, which is so sad.
Yeah, it is. Cool. Next one is Andrew Mason. This is called Painbringer. So once per turn instant, you can pay nothing to reload. So again, another common theme is just being able to reload anything on anyone's. In this case, reload to something on anyone's turn. And then you can do a once per turn action, pay a resource. Your next arrow attack gains +3. Go again. So a buff on a consistent buff on a weapon, and obviously you can reload at instant speed as well. So again, another strictly better Redliner. Very, very better than Redliner.
It's also good for traps, because you can use it as an instant. So you can reload your trap as an instant and then use it, which I think is kind of tricky.
I did not think about that. Yeah,
traps aren't very used right now, so
yeah, so that's actually
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, that's a utilization I did not think of at all. The fact that you could all of your traps in your hand can turn into defense reactions with this card potentially. What was you going to say? After
I was gonna say, I think you need something like this to make traps playable. Otherwise, they're really not playable.
Right. Yeah. The next one is a massive collection of cards, actually, that all work well together. So we got the first one is like a little dagger. This is from Mustache Wu, who actually contributed to our Living Legends podcast the other day.
Oh yeah.
With a lot of questions.
Was he the chicken or duck guy?
No. He was.
Okay.
Mustache Wu is the actual guy who was actually asking relevant questions. Although chicken and duck was chicken. Chicken. Anyway, go listen to the Living Legends podcast if you haven't done so already. So tip of Roulette. This is like a little dagger. So this is a ranger weapon dagger, one-handed. And obviously, how can you wield one-handed and a bow? Well, we'll see, because obviously there's other designs in this thing, as you can see on the screen right now. So it's a dagger. Once per turn action, you can pay a resource to attack. It attacks for 1. Just one little slice. If an arrow card is pitched this way to obviously pay for the attack, the tip of Roulette gains the arrow's on-hit ability until the end of turn. Now, this is interesting because I actually did a design video for 5 things Ranger, and this was one of them. So it's good to see that someone's thinking along the same lines. So that's interesting. So if you pitch an arrow to the tip of the Roulette, although it's even swinging for just 1, could basically read as a red in the ledger. You could, if you let that 1 hit you, you're only taking 1 action next turn. So that could be quite good. But it doesn't end there. There's quite a lot of text on this card. Whenever you attack with Tip of Roulette, if you control Trigger of Blackjack, Tip of Roulette gains +1 till end of turn. So there is a Trigger of Blackjack, which we'll get into in a moment. And whenever you attack with Tip of Roulette, if you control Trigger of Texas Hold'em or Rail of Texas Hold'em, Tip of Roulette gains Go Again till end of turn. So depending on what sort of crossbow, spoiler alert, you tend to have, or you've chosen to go with the tip of the roulette will have a different ability, which is quite interesting. And as you can see on screen here, audience and you guys as well, both of these crossbows are one-handed, so you could even wield both crossbows, like the guy in Bolt and Shot. Is it Bolt and Shot, the one that has a Van Helsing sort of character?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he's one wielding a crossbow, isn't he? Yeah. Hence the reason why it's called Bolt, because they're bolts rather than arrows. Aaron, you absolute dick. Right. So anyway, Rail of Texas Hold'em. The next card in Mustache Woo's design pool here is Ranger weapon, bow, one-handed. So the first one-handed bow, obviously it's like a gun that you shoot, obviously a crossbow. Once per turn action, you can pay a resource. You may put an arrow card that cost. You may put an arrow card that costs 1 or less from your hand face up into an empty arsenal zone you control and go again. And if you control Trigger of Blackjack, you have an additional arsenal. So again, there's synergy if you choose to have both crossbows. Which is quite cool. And then the Trigger of Blackjack says, once per turn action, pay a resource. You may put an arrow card with cost 1 or less from your hand face up into your arsenal, empty arsenal zone you control, go again. So that's the same text, but it says if you control Rail of Texas Hold'em, your first arrow you play this turn gains go again, and your second arrow card costs 1 less to play. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on there, but I think that the synergy between them is quite a nice little design space if you choose to sort of mix and match as to which ones you want.
Yeah,
it's for the theming too, kind of the whole gambling theme.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, that's good. Good note there as well. So yeah, Mustache Woo, thank you very much for that. That's interesting, and I'd like to see more from yourself in the future. These competitions.
It's very wordy but cool.
Yeah, exactly. Next one is from Von Manson. This is the guy that said chicken or duck. Of course. This one's called Second Chance. This is just a generic bow, two-handed. Once per turn action for a resource, you can put an arrow card from your hand face up into your arsenal. It gains go again, and obviously you go again after that. So it gives any arrow card go again. Once per turn instant, you can pay 2. Put an arrow card from your graveyard face up into your arsenal, and it gains a break counter. And when your combat chain closes, banish all arrows with break counters on them. So it's a nice way of recurring things, but you do have to use it there and then, which I think is quite interesting.
Yeah, I think it's cool too.
So one way to deal with the no arrow hand.
Yeah, exactly. You pay for it, but obviously if you've got things like if you've got like 3 bloody memorial grounds in your hand, you can use them to get an arrow back and then fire it off, which is sometimes what happens is you look at your starting hand and you got 3 memorial grounds, you're like, shit, what do I do? So yeah, so that's cool. Yeah, a nice little way of recurring things. So Second Chance. Next you got from the Sigillit. This is a large wall of text on this one. Death's Bounty. I had to squeeze it all in. It's a difficult one to get in, but this is cool because it goes on to what we were speaking about in Living Legends podcast 8, with the fact that you was designing your own assassin Red Zone Rogue, because this cares about copper, silver, and gold. This card.
Oh yeah. I remember reading this one. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, so definitely goes into that theme with regards to copper, silver, and gold. So once per turn action, you can pay a resource, put an arrow card from your hand into your arsenal. It gains +2. So it's better than Dread Boar in the sense it gives you an extra buff, but the D-React text isn't on here, so a little bit of extra stuff there. And it says, whenever an arrow you control hits, create 3 copper, 2 silver, or 1 gold. So you either choose 3 copper, 2 silver, or 1 gold. If it hits. And then as a once per turn instant, you can spend 3 copper to give an arrow go again and reload. I don't know whether that's been templated correctly, I guess. So you give it go again, and then you reload, I guess, is probably what it is. You can then spend 2 silver, banish the top card of your library. How dare you? It's called deck in this game. If it's an arrow card, you can play it and send a turn as though it were an instant. That's interesting. And then spend 2 gold, search your deck for an arrow card, and banish it until the end of turn. You may play 1 card from your banished zone as an instant. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there, but I think the theme around copper, silver, and gold could be a nice way to go in the future.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. This card, as it's written right now, literally doesn't work in Flesh and Blood.
Fantastic.
But yeah, because like it says, you can play the arrow as an instant, and this is a once per turn instant, so you can technically do this on your opponent's turn, but you can't, attack on your opponent's turn with like.
That's
attacks.
true. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
but
Yeah, that's fair enough. Cool. Next one is similar along the lines of the Blade Bow. This is called the Death Reaper from Sebastian in Discord. Once per turn action, you can pay a resource and choose one of these things. You may put an arrow card from your hand face up into an empty arsenal zone you control, or you can attack for 2, because it got an attack of 2, opt 1 and go again. So that's quite interesting, being able to attack, but obviously opting, which will allow you to also go again, potentially get an Azalea dominated attack off the top afterwards.
Yeah, I think this is interesting. It's a very clean design too.
Yeah, not too much going on. And he even put a little bit of flavour text in there as well. Sometimes it's best to test the waters first from Azalea, Ace in the Hole.
Just dip a little toe in.
Yeah, exactly. Just dip it in there. Next one is from Lynette, who I believe was the first lady to cosplay Azalea.
Yeah.
Fabled Hero NZ.
Yeah, Lynette's awesome.
Yeah. So
one of the first Flesh and Blood cosplayers, just that
in general.
Yeah, period.
Nice. So hopefully we can get her on at some point as well. Cool. So this is a ranger weapon offhand. So it just says it attacks for 2. It says once per turn action you can pay nothing. Reveal an arrow card in your hand. Ace in hand gains the on-hit effects of that arrow card until end of turn. So again, another thing that allows you to copy on-hit effects from hand. And then you can pay once per turn action a resource to attack and go again. And obviously she's put a little bit of flavour text on here as well. Nothing like an arrow stab can't fix.
I love the art on this card because it's just a hand holding a card. So the flavor here is that they're like slapping people with this card. It's all like bloody and shit. They're like, bam.
No, that's true. It's literally like Gambit, like throwing cards at people.
Right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So yeah, I think the way this was or should have been templated is that you can have this in addition to your bow. Maybe, I don't know. I can't remember.
Like a crossbow, like we saw before.
Yeah, so that's why I've put ranger weapon offhand, because I think you could use it in addition to your bow that you had equipped. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to fire any arrows. So maybe that's a templating issue on my behalf there. Sorry, Lynette, but fantastic design there, and nothing like an arrow stab can't fix. You're absolutely right. Sometimes you just need to stab them in the eyes with your arrows, like Legolas.
Yeah.
And I think that's what she's getting off here. There's a scene in Lord of the Rings where he draws. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So just using that same arrow to hit twice. Fantastic. Now the next design is again like another dual thing, and this is well designed. This is from Joey from Decks and Drafts, an Azalea fan through and through as well. So this is interesting because on this card it is very clean the way he's designed it on cardconjurer.com. So maybe that's a website you can make cards on. This is called Ace, and it's an Azalea specialization weapon. So only Azalea can use this. Lexi can't use it. Unlucky. So once per turn action, you can pay a resource, put an arrow card from your hand face up into an empty arsenal zone. If you do, you may use Azalea's hero ability 1 additional time. Go again. So that's cool. You can do the Azalea thing twice. Lovely old job. And then Ace also says, heroes who are staggered cannot use equipment to defend your arrow attack action card. So again, another piece of design space that we've said in the past, or I've said that should be in the game, is not being able to defend with equipment, like a reverse dominate. Right.
Yeah.
And it goes in theme with a flavour of Rangers because of the fact they want to shoot for those gaps in the armour. Said it multiple times already. And the sort of accompanying weapon for this is Jack. So this is using a nice little piece of art as well from the Fab lore. This is like the deprived kids that are holding the knives and stuff. A nice image. I'll flash it up on the screen for you now so you can see it. And this is called Jack Ace Enhancement. So if Ace is your equipped bow, which most likely it probably will be, you may equip Jack as your offhand weapon in addition to your two-handed weapon. So great templating all round here from Joey. Once per turn action, you can pay 2 resources to attack. If Jack hits a hero, they become staggered until end of turn. You gain a resource, and you gain 1 resource and may activate Ace 1 additional time, go again. And Stagger just says, is a condition with no inherent effect but can change the effects of other cards. So again, Stagger does affect the aforementioned Ace. So yeah, Joey just making up mechanics here, which is just so helpful when you're designing a card. You just make up
there.
Exactly, you just make up the dialogue to explain what you're trying to get across. So you can tell the guys are very good at that sort of thing. So thank you very much for that. But that is cool, isn't it? Like staggered and stuff. That's pretty decent.
Yeah, it's interesting. Jack, I mean, your opponent, they just block Jack, right? It's only coming in for 1. They're like, yeah, I just block it.
I block it, yeah.
But, I do like where he's trying to go.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I mean though. It's like with Ranger, I do feel like you should have to force the opponent to block. You shouldn't the opponent shouldn't be allowing hits to go through. And maybe this is yeah, exactly. Maybe this is a bit of design space that we'll see with Assassin. If the Assassin hits, you're going to be in deep doo-doo with that.
Poisoned or something.
Yeah, poison, yeah, all that sort of thing. But yeah, we'll see. Next one is Sharpened Karambit from Big Boss Book Club. Again, another Ranger weapon, offhand dagger. You may start with Sharpened Karambit in the arena, even if you are wielding a 2-handed weapon. So again, this is templating that I made, so forgive me, but this is basically the same thing as what Jack was doing. Once per turn action, you can pay a resource to attack. Reduce the cost of this ability by 1 if an arrow has not hit an opposing hero this turn. So you can basically attack for free if no arrows have hit the opponent this turn, which is quite interesting because it gives you another thing that you can do. Worst case scenario, if none of your attacks hit. Theme
wise, it's like Azaya's getting really frustrated by the arrows not hitting, so just whips out a dagger and stabs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, pretty cool, nice, very unique piece of text there as well. And even more unique to this as well is it can block. It says when you defend with this card, deal 1 damage to your opponent, and it blocks for 2 and has blade break. So you can actually block with this as well, which is blocking for 2 as well. Could be a nice little bit of design space. Blocking on a weapon. Well, we've seen it with offhand shields and stuff. But what was you going to say?
I really like this card, a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's cool design space, and I think it shores up 2 of Ranger's biggest weaknesses, not having arrows and their lack of defense. So I think I really like this card a lot. The wording is maybe a little off, but I think design wise it's really sweet.
That's because I wrote it.
It's like uncharted territory though, so it's like
So yeah, basically, everyone sort of in the Discord, they pitched their sort of idea, and I tried to template it the best I could. So I'm no designer, but this is the sort of feel that I thought was trying to get across. So that's definitely good. So yeah, this is a really cool one. Grayanotox. I think it's the name of like a poisonous plant or something. We'll come to see why.
Big mushrooms in the background.
Yeah,
it sounds like the name of a weapon from like an MMO or
does.
Like Dark Souls or something.
Yeah. And rightly so as well of what it does. So once per turn instant, you pay a resource. You may put an arrow card from your hand into an empty arsenal zone you control, and if you do, opt 1, and your next arrow attack gains +1. So you can do that at instant speed, but it does cost 1. It's not just costing nothing. So it's quite good because obviously you can put a card into your arsenal on your opponent's turn, which you then have something there waiting to shoot with, which is nice. And whenever you opt, you may reveal an arrow card revealed this way. You don't reveal opted cards, I don't think, so maybe I did a wrong templating here, I've just realised. But when you do, arrows you control gain when this hits a hero, create a poison token under their control. So when you opt, you can then basically reveal an arrow card that you found that way, is probably the text that we would say.
Or it could be like, when you opt, if that card is an arrow, you may reveal it.
Yeah.
If so, do this.
Do this. Yeah, exactly. And then obviously we've got the poison token underneath as well. So it says your next 3 actions cost you an additional life. So like sort of like a remorseless effect. Like everything that you're doing costs you life. Poison, your poison takes you extra stamina and stuff. And then at the beginning of your end phase, or whenever you use a potion, destroy poison token. So that's a nice little bit of space there as well. You drink something else, the poison goes away.
It's cool.
Yeah, so I think that's very cool. I like the fact that they've sort of touched on an arrow that already exists in Remorseless as well, taxing your life. and that just works with poison as well. So that's awesome design there. Yeah. This one is a huge wall of text, and it's actually a Magic the Gathering card as well.
Yeah, it's just an essay.
Yeah. So, but fair play. Thanks for entering the competition. So, action for nothing. Reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, then stack up to 3 arrows face down in your arsenal from hand or deck and put 3 tension counters on each of them. Each time you receive damage 2 or greater, remove a counter from the top of the stack. If an arrow has no counters on it, destroy it. Okay, in brackets, if an arrow is replaced by another, it inherits the counters, apparently. And when you attack with an arrow, remove all counters. If tension counters are removed from a face-up arrow, it gains +4. 1 counter, arrows gain go again. 2 counters, arrows gain -1 cost and go again. 3 counters, arrow gains -1 cost, go again, dominate, and +2. So it's like a Bravo, sort of Starvo.
Text is right on.
Activation. And then the flavor text is, how the hell do I use this thing? From Azalea.
Oh my god, dude!
I feel like that's exactly what she would say if she picked that up.
Literally, yeah. It's just an ornament. Looking at the picture, it's just like a
Trophy.
a trophy attached to a book that's on a table.
Like, how long would it take to reload this freaking thing?
I know, right?
Like 2 minutes to reload this thing.
2 turns.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Comedy value, that one there.
This card, the card is ridiculous. Like, if the contest was the most ridiculous card, this one is like absurd.
It's right up there, isn't it? Right up there.
Yeah.
Nice. And that was from Matty the Rat on Discord. Not sure if I shouted out the last one. Yeah, the last one, the poison one, was Ramanatus Ideals. The one before that, the poison one, which is very cool. I'm sure we'll speak about that again. Spoiler alert. Executioner Hell on High is the next one. This is from Dogodoc Elliot. Once per turn action for a resource, you can reload. So again, another person that thinks just being able to reload a card rather than having to be an arrow, and go again, of course. And while there is a card with a red pitch strip in your pitch zone, once per turn instant for nothing, put an attack action card with cost 2 or less from your graveyard on top of your deck. So that's a cool, interesting design space, interacting with the pitch zone color. We haven't seen that yet.
I could see this being like a draconic ranger weapon, because like the red pitch synergy kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So that's cool. Yeah, we haven't seen that yet. And again, a lot of the ranger stuff, especially with Azalea, I think is a lot of red cards in there because of big buffs, and obviously the arrows that we have being red, I think is definitely a good synergy there. And then we got two more, and we got Iphialtes, Glory of the Banished. Now, Iphialtes is the guy from 300, the God King, if anyone's seen that movie.
Okay.
So a nice little throwback to that. I think it also means like nightmare or something in a different language. I can't remember what he said, but this is from Log Dog. This is obviously a bow. Once per turn action, pay a resource. If you have no cards in your arsenal, you may put an arrow card from your hand face up into your arsenal, and if you do, it gains +1 attack, and if this doesn't hit, it gains go again and reload, and then you go again from that. So again, another design space that is allowing people to do something else if their arrow doesn't hit.
I like the if this doesn't hit clause.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's a lot on the opponent to decide, like, am I going to let this one go through, or am I going to wait and see what the next arrow does to me?
That's true. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, just forcing that decision is another thing, which is quite nice.
Yeah, I like this one.
Yeah. And then we got a few more, and then that's it. So we got Quick Shot. This one is from Mr. Sully. Once per turn action, pay a resource, opt 1. If it's an arrow card, you may banish it, and if you do, it costs 1 less to play, gains +1 power, and you may put it into an empty arsenal zone you control. Go again. So yeah, I like this one quite a lot as well, because I like the fact that it digs for things, and it gives you an extra bit of buff as well, and reduces the cost if it's an arrow. So yeah, it's quite cool.
If you have this as your only bow, how are you playing arrows from your hand, though?
That's true.
Yeah, you just can't play arrows from your hand.
Oh, damn it. That's true. Yeah. Next, we got a ridiculous one from the... Exactly. Yeah, the aforementioned Pascal Supperworm, the one who pilots Guardian Azalea, is of course putting a shield in here.
Of course, the Guardian guy puts a freaking shield on here.
Exactly right. Bravo main. The one-eyed shield. So yeah, this is from Elden Ring. Still haven't played it yet, so thanks for shouting out the reference as to where this art is from. But yeah, once per turn action, pay a resource. Put an arrow card from your hand face up into the arsenal, and if an arrow card is put into your arsenal this way, banish it. Okay, and then put an explosive counter on one-eyed shield. Go again. So you have to use your arrows and banish them to be able to use this ability. But then it says at instant speed, take 10 explosive counters off of the one-eyed shield, and then create an explosive shot token, which obviously you can see on screen now for viewers at home, and put it into your arsenal. So you actually create a token, and you put that token into your arsenal. Okay, and we'll go into that in a moment, the explosive shot. And it says, if you block with the one-eyed shield, you may pay 3 resources. And if you do, one-eyed shield gets +3 until end of turn. If you fully block this chain link, you may add 1 explosive counter to the one-eyed shield. So again, he just wants to block with Azalea, this guy. So I can appreciate where he's, why he's doing this. So yeah, and the explosive shot, basically this is an 11 attack. And also blocks for 11. It has dominate.
Flip the attack and defense icons.
Like this whole thing is ridiculous. Like including the attack and defense icons being reversed. Like what is even going on here?
Oh, brilliant! Pure comedy.
Yeah, the whole 10 counters too. That's a lot of counters.
You need to eat 10 arrows to even do this one.
It's like half your arrows.
Yeah. That's a tough one. Yeah. But when I questioned him about this design, he did say one thing, is that you can basically put the explosive shot into your deck by activating Azalea. You can just put it on the bottom of your deck, and then hopefully it comes back round again. But I don't know if that's any good. put the explosive shot into your deck, because it's a token. You generate a token, put it into the arsenal, activate Azalea.
I'll give him, there's creativity there, that's for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. So we would just now obviously select what our favourite ones are from this. And shall I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm debating over 2.
Cool. So my one is Greyanotox.
Okay.
So this is the one that obviously creates the poison counters, the poison tokens. Yeah, I think it's going to be a space that we explore in the future as well, with where either that's ranger class being more sort of using horrible ways to kill people, or maybe even the assassin class might even experiment with this. Whether that bleeds over to ranger, I don't know, but poison I think is something we will see in the future. So I think that's I love the templating that he's done for that as well. So. Pretty cool. Greyanotox is my... so you're a winner there, Mr. Or Mrs. Ramatus Ideals. Well done. You get some Azalea promo cards, which I'm getting soon. Jim, what's your pick? Do you think?
I think I'm going to have to go with the Sharpened Karambit.
Oh, Sharpened Karambit. Nice.
That makes my choice easy, because I was debating between the Sharpened Karambit and another card. So
there you go.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about you, Kel.
Cool. So Big Boss Book Club. You're also a winner as well. So you receive some Azalea Cult membership cards as well. And then Kel, what's your favourite?
I do have to say that I really like the Sharpened Karambit. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it is nice.
I think it does everything that you want.
Yeah.
So I think mine is going to go then with the Ephialtes, Glory of the Banished. I really love the damned if you do, damned if you don't flavor of this card. Like, so either your arrow hits or you still get to go again and then reload. So no matter what, you get something out of it. And I really like that kind of flavor. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like Jim said earlier. It's like the lesser of which is the evil you wanna sort of face as such, isn't it? So,
and you can do like cool mind games with this card where you're like, oh, do I want to load my crappy arrow first, Or do I want to like load my good arrow and they think it's the crappy arrow, so they just take the hit? But I think this card's cool.
Yeah, that is a really good point as well. Like Ranger wants to be playing those mind games with people, like right from the start, you know, before the game even starts, and even with the arrow, the bow here, you know, forcing different decisions and trying to get these horrible cards through. Well. Yeah, didn't think about that at all. The psychology behind it. Ranger wants to force these horrible decisions and sometimes bluff the opponent, which is all the sort of ace in the hand, tricking people, poker, all that sort of thing. Yeah, very good pick for you there. So yeah, fair enough. And that was Logdog as well. So well done to Logdog, who has obviously recently joined the cult as well. But that's pretty much it for today. We've probably spent a lot of time on the competition rather than the actual bows, but hey ho, this is all sort of speculations as to what we might want LSS to look at in the future and how we can improve it. But yeah, nice, awesome entries from everybody here for the bows, and you can expect to see more competitions like this, whether that's designing cards or other things in the future. Because this has been cool to explore different options. So yeah, well done to all the entries, and well done to the winners there. Yeah. So that's pretty much all we've got time for today. Thank you very much for watching and listening, wherever you might be out there in the big wide world. Make sure you like and subscribe to this video, or this channel, I should say. Yeah, just show love for Azalea. She's an awesome hero.
Join the cult.
Join the cult, exactly. Praise be our glorious leader.
Praise be.
And absolutely look for those competitions, because you can get these Azalea cult cards, which are like sort of membership cards for the Azalea cult, basically. And you can join the Discord by doing that. But yeah, as always, thank you very much. Jim, where can people find you and all your good stuff?
Yeah. So I'll plug the shop, FabTCGCards.com. Have a pretty awesome Azalea playmat, as well as just singles of Flesh and Blood. If you're after Uprising, I've done a big restock recently of Uprising cards, so definitely check that out. Otherwise, nice. I'm usually hanging on Twitter for social media most often. Have a Facebook presence as well as I try to get in the Discord. I'm going to be better about that and try to be in the cult Discord a little more.
That's okay. No, that's all right. But yeah, that's awesome. What about you, Cal? Where can people find you as well, mate?
You can find me basically everywhere at Red Zone Rogue. YouTube.com/Red Zone Rogue and Twitter.com/Red Zone Rogue. Those are my two main things. Obviously YouTube, but I mostly do my socials on Twitter. I do technically have an Instagram and a Facebook, but I don't use them as much. Yeah, thanks for having me on. This was fun.
No, it was good fun. It's good.
Thanks for joining us, dude.
Yeah, it was.
Anytime.
Definitely worth doing, because of the fact that, you know, you spoiled a lot of it. You've been involved for so long with Ranger, so it just made.
You know, when LSS gives me another bow for Dynasty, I can come back on and we can talk about that bow.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%. But yeah, thanks again for joining us in the dirty, disgusting, dark, dingy pits once again for the Azalea cult, and tune in next time for all the scoops on the best arrows that Azalea can use. Next episode is going to be about the arrows that Azalea can use. Which ones do we want to use in Azalea? Praise be our glorious leader. Have a great day.
Praise be.
All hail the Dark Lady.
Oh, nice. Epic.